Hey random stranger, how you doing? I hope you've been going well, and I guess it is time to dive back into Houseki no Kuni, where I think we're going to war today. We are about to finish volume 11. Phos is leading the entire Lunarian army plus a couple of moon gems to destroy life on Earth and also to make Sensei, that damn machine, pray. We'll talk more about how that end goal, for Phos at least, has become completely disconnected from any logical reasoning for why they're doing it. Uh, I'm gonna say that Phos is officially broken. Arguably, they have been broken for quite some time now, but there are degrees of brokenness, and the last few chapters took us way further into Phos's breakdown than we've ever been. What's so great, I think, about how Ichikawa played out that breakdown is you look at where Phos is now and you're struck by just how far gone they are. But also, when you trace back through these 11 volumes, there are definite points on that descent into madness that explains step by step how Phos got there. And their character arc can't just be reduced down to the physical replacement of most of their original parts and the memory loss that goes with that, although that is important. But really, it's been this complex series of tragedies and mental traumas that have led to this predicament. For now, let's start with what went down when Phos is forcing Sensei's hands together and the Lunarian world once again starts to melt away into nothingness. What I really enjoyed about that part was the question that I think we've all thought of at least once, and if you haven't, it's worth thinking about because it clarifies what you value most in life. And that question is, what would you do in your final moments? So Aechmea, as Cairngorm is like gripping onto his arm, which starts to dissolve, he reads out over the citywide PA system for everyone to return to their homes, which is fascinating because for a race whose ostensible purpose is to become nothing and as a byproduct have no relationships, they still hold on to this notion that family is important and that your last moments should be spent with the people closest to you. It's not really in keeping with the enlightened aim of non-attachment. And even Aechmea isn't immune because later on he as good as admits that he's very much attached to the gems, in his words, the most beautiful creatures in the world, or rather attached to Cairngorm specifically. And he gets why Sensei broke for that same reason, that attachment. Barbada doesn't have anyone at home in his little bachelor pad, and so it was cute. I thought that he spent his last moments making and eating a meal with Amethyst in their lab. By the way, Amethyst calls Barbada Sensei, which, given who they used to call Sensei, was quite the reversal. Daya is in the middle of an idol concert and she's, rapping all the party people who want to spend their last moments singing their hearts out to 5 more songs. Alex is working in their own restaurant. I don't know what kind of restaurant it was. It looked like a noodle kind of restaurant with Benito as their sous chef. And out of all the Gems, this is possibly my favorite outcome. That small, satisfied smile on Alex's face when the Lunarians all clamor around to enjoy one last meal of Lexi's. Yeah, I wish that that was the happy ending that we're headed towards, especially considering where Alex started, suffering so much guilt over having lost Chrysoberyl, preserving their hatred for the Lunarians for so many centuries, to now admitting that not all Lunarians are bad and that they could live a life in peace among them. But that is, of course, an ending that is altogether too happy for Houseki no Kuni. it was just interesting to see how the ideal end looks different for different people. Not everyone will have a family to spend their last moments with, or rather, you might have a found family, and what you choose to do together will reflect what you cherish most in life. Another massive reveal comes from Aechmea, of course it does, who tells Cairngorm that Congo is broken due to his developing an attachment to the gems, and therefore something like a sense of self. And because he is broken, he can't control his power, and a prayer from him will cause all three races of human descent to go into nothingness, which is why Congo refuses to pray or can't pray. Which raises the question, why would Aechmea keep this to himself for so long? And I believe part of the answer is he knows that if the moon gems knew about this, they would be far less inclined to go along with or help with the goal of getting Sensei to pray. They're happy with their lives, and in fact, they're planning for what they'll do even after the Lunarians go to Nothingland. Dia is an idol now, and although it'd be a bit hard to imagine them without the enraptured Lunarian audience that they've been performing to, who knows, like maybe she'd target the Admirables next. Amethyst wants to keep studying new tech. Alex has clearly found their passion for the culinary arts, and Goshen is just enjoying the freedom of youth. Only Cairngorm really wants to go into nothingness because of Aechmea, and I guess you could also count Phos in that camp as well, because they're just so tired of existing. So Aechmea has carried out deception on a grand scale, but that has always been his modus operandi. Like, he will do what he believes is necessary for his people and his own sanity. It's interesting also that Aechmea admits to committing atrocity after atrocity, in his own words, to help his people. He doesn't sugarcoat what he's done to both the gems and the Admirables. Thinking about Sensei's malfunction a bit more, so Sensei was originally created by humans to pray for their souls. It wasn't envisioned that humans would die out because of 6 meteor crashes and have to survive in 3 different forms, one of which Sensei eventually found and became attached to. And given all of that, what Sensei said when he spoke to the Lunarian game pieces makes more sense now. He said, this game wasn't created with a specific purpose in mind. We never thought about what would happen to the things we created when they reached their end. And one possible reading of that now is that humans hadn't thought about what would happen to Sensei should an apocalypse occur, which it did, and he was left all alone with no one to pray for. And now we know that this lack of foresight has led to a situation where he can't pray, because to do so would destroy the very beings he found solace in after such a long time by himself. At the same time, because he won't pray, all this suffering between the 3 races has played out. And I mean, actually, I'm curious about how Sensei figured out what would happen if he prayed. I wonder if his machine brain calculated that destroying all 3 races would be the outcome of his malfunction. He did say to Phos, "I can't pray, not even for you." So does that mean that he refuses to pray even under Phos's human-like influence? That he actually has a choice, he just doesn't want to? Or does it mean no matter how hard he tries, his attachment to the gems simply won't allow his machine prayer function to start up? I'm actually not clear on whether Sensei has a choice or not, or maybe it's both, in that he made the choice to connect with the gems, and now that he's so attached, he physically or mentally or whatever can't pray. It's an interesting look at the issue of what choice is and how our attachments shape what we think we can do and what we can't. We also finally get to see what Goshen has been up to. They're just having the time of their life. They're dressed like a teenage rebel. They scoot around on a skateboard. We find out Goshen essentially joined a frat house and made friends with a commune of Lunarians who were psyched to meet an actual gem. And this insight into youth life on the moon was really cool. I feel like on both sides, Gem and Lunarian, they're just so accepting and open-minded. I think it reflects human society to a certain extent. Usually it's the younger generations that push the boundaries of what's acceptable and are more open to the unknown. So Goshen, despite how familiar they are with the town, notices for the first time the building in which Padpa is being kept. And it was strange to me that even Goshen didn't know this is where Padpa has been this whole time. I assume that that means the other gems didn't know either, including Yellow, who, let's not forget, went crazy over what happened to Padpa in the last attack. It also seemed really easy for Goshen to just wake Padpa up. It was literally pressing a few buttons. So I'm not clear on why the Lunarians wouldn't just let Padpa be up and about. They are still very weak even when Goshen places all of the synthetic corundum pieces into place, but they can clearly move around. Anyway, this all leads to a very hastily organized rescue mission for Phos, who is still stuck on Earth and whose gold alloy is sprouting these ominous tree branch looking things. And Sekai very helpfully pointed out that Phos seems to be taking on the shape of the inside of a lotus. And I looked back at those few panels and you're right, you can see those holes that look like the inside of a lotus root. So similar to when the big Lunarians were sliced open. We're already pretty familiar with the lotus and its symbolic connection to human enlightenment in Buddhism. So it's cool to have an extra confirmation of Phos's journey towards enlightenment. Also in the scenes of Phos fighting the earth gems, you also see some ice flows in the background, eerily similar in shape to Phos. Given what Sensei has said about the ice flows containing the dredges of sinners, it's a weird mishmash of symbols. Like on the one hand, you have Phos embodying the symbols for enlightenment, and on the other, you have them also taking on the shape of what Sensei considers are twisted, fallen forms of humanity. What also was fascinating about the whole sequence of events where Rutiel is about to crush Phos into powder, Padpa arrives with Goshen and Cicada's help and just tosses to Rutiel a piece of corundum as a decoy and immediately passes out, is that Aechmea and Cairngorm are monitoring all of this from the moon. After Padpa is left behind, Cairngorm turns to Aechmea and asks, "Are you okay?" And Aechmea responds with, "Yes, it's better this way. That was the natural outcome." He's also not fazed that Goshen and Cicada went on this mission with Padpa without his permission. It feels like he knew this sequence of events was likely, that he knew in the event of Phos failing again to make Sensei pray, that it would unleash their psychotic nature, and that suits his plans perfectly. I think a psychotic Phos would be even more hell-bent on making Sensei pray. Well, they are, as we see later on, and destroying any gems who get in the way of that. I can't be certain that that is how Aechmea calculated the probabilities, but he strikes me as having already thought of all the possible outcomes and is the most capable of bending whichever outcome results to his advantage. Back on the moon, there's a point when Aechmea is staring intensely at Phos, who's rambling on about how Congo still loves them, how he would have prayed if only the gems hadn't stopped them, and how they'll crush the other gems, and, freaks out all the other moon gems who are listening to this when their gold alloy spikes down and almost hits them. It seems like Aechmea is either thinking, this is all going according to my plan now that Phos is even more unhinged and more determined to make Sensei pray, or this gem is dangerous and they are a threat to us as well, including my precious Cairngorm, or both, probably both. Another sign that Phos poses a threat is also confirmed by how Shidor jumps out from Cairngorm and smashes Phos to bits again. In what is perhaps the most puzzling or sus exchange of the last few chapters, Aechmea tells Barbeta to repair Phos with the utmost care. In particular, treat the memories of the last 200 years as gently as possible. What does that even mean? So he is referring to the memories or the thoughts that Phos would have had while lying on Earth in a dozen or so pieces, and later we get some possible insight into what those memories might be. Although the more accurate word to describe them is probably hallucinations, because their accuracy is highly questionable, if not downright false. So when Phos is being worked on by Barbeta, these memories are floating around in Phos's mind. Memories of the original United crew, like both the moon and the earth gems, having a great time and just saying awful things about Phos. Yuke, for example, says to Phos, "You're weak, you were born that way." Cinnabar says you were wrong from the start. There's Bort and Daya telling Phos that they can't ever change. Ghost, who says Phos ruined everything, and Cairngorm saying no one loves Phos. The most accurate memory is probably from Morga, who's just shown as like muttering 3.5. Man, good old days, yeah. It's just clear that these memories are, I think, exaggerated manifestations of the insecurities that Phos has harbored since the very beginning. And what Phos's mind has certain gems saying is actually opposite to what the real gem would have expressed to Phos. Cinnabar, for example, of all people, would never, and actually never, told Phos that they were wrong from the start. And they wouldn't have, given their own struggle with being an outcast and being born, cursed with this poisonous mercury. Daya was the one who told Phos that they could change themselves. Ghost adored Phos, and despite the fact that no love was lost between Bort and Phos, Bort was the one who stepped out and helped Phos become a better fighter. The most blatantly false memory is spoken by Antarc, who is shown in Phos's mind to be saying, "If only you'd never existed." So, in addition to these memories resulting from Phos's total mental breakdown and what's left of their inclusions latching on to this self-hate for themselves and projecting it onto memories of other gems, there's another possibility that Nucleus Snake brought up, and that is the possibility that Barbeta, under Aechmea's orders, messed with Phos's memories, potentially via the synthetic parts Barbeta used to fix them. And yeah, Aechmea's line of being mindful of the memories of the past 200 years sounds super sus. So I don't think that possibility of tampering can be easily dismissed. Even though I really like Barbeta, who knows what he would do for Aechmea, or, Aechmea does have the final say in things. I said before, basically anything that makes Phos become more and more entangled or blinded by their frustration with the earth gems and obsessed with making Sensei pray is good for Aechmea. So either the insertion of fake memories was intentional, or the innocent reading would be it's just the result of so many synthesized materials being used instead of Phos's original pieces, and some weird distortion of their memories that are stored in their inclusions has happened. Either way, when Phos wakes up, Barbeta and the attendant get sliced open, and we meet, really for the first time, truly unhinged Phos. back on Earth, we get some unexpected sentimental moments. To start with, Rutiel is still clutching on to the most important part of Padpa, to their chest, and refusing to give it up so that Jade can put Padpa back together. And I just wonder what Rutiel is thinking. Are they reflecting on how they treated Padpa over the millennia and are finally questioning their own intentions for working so hard to heal Padpa? Are they wondering if they can face Padpa once they put that last piece back in? It's hard to say, but I do feel for Rutiel. My opinion of Padpa being the most badass gem remains unchanged because they knew exactly what they were doing when they threw that corundum at Rutiel, that those exact words would pierce at the heart of Rutiel's purpose and their conception of why they're doing what they're doing. I also loved the short scene where some of the gems are reminiscing about their old partners, like the good old days. There's Zircon and Amethyst who go to visit the sleeping Padpa and wonder how Yellow and the rest of the moon gems are doing. It's also interesting the way Amethyst talks about Amethyst 84 on the moon and suggests that they still have a connection to each other despite the separation, that they can just tell that Amethyst is doing fine. Nepti is there too, and in a sign of how long it's been, they're struck by the fact that they still like Benito, normal old Benito. Likewise, Morga says with this huge smile on her face that Goshen is probably making the most of life up there, which they are, and you get a sense that the Earth Gems are genuinely happy for their partners or for the rest of their family. At the very least, they're not resentful at all, unlike Rutiel was, but I think Rutiel is also going to slowly start to change as well. Even Cinnabar says that Dia is probably doing better than any gem could imagine. Seeing them know their counterparts so well was bittersweet because they still, after everything that's happened, feel like a family that's been split down the middle by circumstances largely outside of their control. When Morga says we've had peace for so long, I wonder which way is better. It's like those negative or combative feelings are being slowly washed away by time, and that given the choice, they'd probably prefer not to take up arms again. But we know, given the state in which Phos is now, that the ship of peace has most likely sailed, and the Earth Gems, if provoked again, will fight. It's such a shame to be reminded that war is contingent on such fragile factors, like the smallest miscommunication, that it's often caused by a cascade effect of small things and seemingly small choices snowballing into even larger conflicts. And that even when there's arguably a good foundation on which to negotiate peace, like even if most gems on both sides don't want to fight really, war is almost inevitable because of these larger forces at work. I have to give the cutest moment its due, which is when Cinnabar is asked to cheer on the other gems as they smash the ice floes. The sequence of emotions on Cinnabar's face is priceless. At first, they're stunned, and then they panic, and then when they finally do let out a you can do it, and get a very positive response, they are the happiest that they've ever been. And when I read that, I was like, let's just enjoy this moment, given how all hell is about to break loose. There's also, though, a sad moment that's linked to this when Cinnabar mentions Antarc to Sensei and tells him that they loved him more than any other gem. And Sensei responds with, well, Antarc knew me for what I was. And I think he meant like if not a machine, then at least Antarc knew that Sensei was a different life form to them and didn't mind at all. To me, that is perhaps the starkest contrast between Phos and Antarc. that doesn't really paint Phos in a great light. When Phos found out Sensei was not a naturally formed gem, that he was made of artificial hexagonal diamond, for some reason that bothered them. And yes, there were other things going on as well, like Sensei's seeming closeness with the Lunarians and all the secrets he seemed to be hiding. But Antarc, to some extent, knew as well, and yet they still found it in themselves to trust Sensei. And actually, I don't blame Phos at all for being suspicious of Sensei, because I mean, I was too for a while. But it was things like even after finding out that Sensei was programmed to keep secrets about the humans, Phos was still quite unforgiving of Sensei and kept emphasizing how he's different from the other gems, and so they should all rise up against him. And then it just all went downhill from there. On the moon, Phos says that they want to crush every last gem and demands Aechmea give them the entire army. Aechmea's reactions to Phos are interesting. For one, Aechmea is at first unfazed by how violent and unhinged Phos is being. He says Phos should heal up first, but then when Phos says they'll make the moon gems help and Cairngorm replies, "Oh, you never change," that triggers Phos. And then they start sprouting their ice flow shaped alloy, but is warned off by Shidor. And then you see this switch in Aechmea's face. He's a little worried and he's actually using his body to shield Cairngorm. Later, after the gems discuss, who's going with Phos and who's not, Aechmea offers to give Phos a replacement eye, which triggers Phos yet again, who rises up, slices the attendants, they just don't care anymore, and growls out, "I'll go to Earth and take it back myself." And that's where Aechmea changes his mind. He says he understands, ends up offering Phos the entire Lunarian army, and informs them that they've developed some protective tech against Cinnabar's mercury. So that shift, it's almost like Aechmea again sees the advantages of unleashing this version of Phos on the gems and onto Sensei. Maybe the big brain play here is every time Phos becomes more unhinged, the more they take on their fully twisted human form, the more effective that they will be at forcing Sensei to pray. But also, there's now this additional element of worry that Phos is spiraling out of control, and it's probably also better that they are far away from the rest of them. Okay, so we've reached the part where Daya, Alex, and poor Benito decide, except Benito, to accompany Phos back down to Earth to carry out the attack. Amethyst is staying because they want to learn more about lunar tech before the Lunarians turn to nothing and leave them all behind, which won't happen if Aechmea is right and they all just disappear. There's a nice little focus back onto Cairngorm when Amethyst says that, who knows the truth but says nothing. Cairngorm does give Aechmea this, I think it's like a guilty looking glance, but Aechmea does it's our little secret smile, so I wonder if Cairngorm will ultimately be the one to break that news to the other gems. Right, so at first, Daya also says they can't go. They've got idle things to do. They've got fans to take care of. But Phos pulls, in a terrible way, that ace card and threatens to bring Bort to the moon, saying everything that makes you happy will disappear. I was thinking when I read that Phos doesn't have the ability to make Bort do anything, but they're so far gone at this point that they will say anything to make the other gems do their bidding. And it works because Daya thinks about it, ends up agreeing to go so that they can deal with their fear of Bort once and for all, and that they're gonna crush Bort into powder. So echoing Phos's crazy ramblings from before, but it's just a bit shocking to hear that from Daya, because it wasn't just an all-hate relationship between Daya and Bort. There was also a ridiculous amount of love there as well, even as it was mixed in with all these strong feelings of self-inadequacy. And we see here that it's not just Phos who's turned into an anti-Earth gem, even though Phos's change is definitely manifested more grotesquely. Speaking of Bort, I thought Harrick's 300's comment about what makes Bort so great was pretty accurate, and I want to spend the next few minutes on some Bort appreciation. So Harrick's 300 wrote, Bort always was the great protector of the gems. Bort is unbreakable. All the gems believe that Bort will defeat any threat. The only problem is Bort can't be everywhere at the same time, but the point is she was important for everyone. Bort is a battle freak because it was their burden as the strongest gem. Every gem will fight to defend themselves and their gem family, but I believe that for Bort, it was the whole purpose to their existence. They never allowed themselves to be vulnerable. This is probably why Diamond was extremely important to Bort. Di was almost the only one who saw Bort deeper than just an invincible champion and a harsh battle freak and gave them their affection. I wonder if this is personal for Bort to Phos for taking Dia from them. Yeah, those were some very well-made points. And to be honest, and you'd know this if you followed my reactions from the start, I wasn't a huge fan of Bort at the beginning, but understanding their point of view and how in their own way they carry out their devotion to the other gems and to Dia in the way that they know best by being that battle freak, to see Dia now completely just turn against them, seemingly with no memory of how much they loved Bort, is heartbreaking. It mirrors a little bit what's happened to Phos. So much time has passed and so much has happened that the negative feelings Dia had inside completely have overwhelmed any of the positive stuff and hardened into this blind hate for the gems left on Earth, or specifically for Dia, it's Bort. The reason Alex decides to go fight with Phos is strange to me still. They're much more neutral, so they don't buy Dia and Phos's shtick of destroying all the things that have caused them pain. It's better to close your eyes to the past, literally. Which is a slightly better way of looking at things, I guess, but at the same time, Alex has totally forgotten about Cinnabar, and I feel sad about that. Even though the loss of their partner caused so much trauma and pain for them, they do have the tools, like Amethyst mentioned, to potentially restore Cinnabar, especially because Cinnabar is actually an 8.5 on the Mohs scale. But Alex's contentment with life on the moon has led them to not really care about life or any of the gems back on Earth. At least, unlike Dia, they didn't really have a partner that caused them so much self-hate and identity issues. However, Alex remembers the promise that they made to Phos 200 years ago, and because apparently they are now a gem of their word, they'll go with Phos and fight, and then promptly forces Benito to come along even though they don't want to. And here, I'm in agreement with, it was John D who commented that the reasoning for going and the casual I don't care about Cinnabar and the bossing around of Benito is kind of off-putting. Yeah, it reminds me of the slightly non-consensual nature of the relationship between LaFos and Cairngorm. I also don't know what's up with this keeping of the promise that was made 200 years ago, that whole idea of becoming Red Alex permanently. For one, the Phos back then had outright rejected that idea. And secondly, I don't remember there's been any indication up until this point that Alex is particularly hung up on keeping promises or honoring their word. It's especially strange given how they've completely forgotten about Cinnabar and their immense desire to restore them. So maybe there's something else going on that we're yet to find out with Alex, but yeah, it was weird. Which brings us to this last part of the recap, the issue that we've been circling around, and that is what is going on with Phos. So first is a helpful point from Night Knoll, who pointed out the significance of Phos's new outfit. So Phos's halo is made of gold and shaped like a body leaf. with the Bodhi tree being what the Buddha sat below and where they gained enlightenment. It's an interesting juxtaposition since Phos has had 200 years to meditate on something and has come to some kind of conclusion, some kind of twisted enlightenment. That was very cool to learn, and it matches up very well with the other traditional Buddhist symbols of enlightenment, like the gradual collection of the treasure tower pieces by Phos and their gold alloy taking the shape of a lotus root. I agree with this idea of Phos undergoing some kind of twisted enlightenment in those 200 years, and really before as well, in two related senses. So one is that they have become completely unattached to anyone who has ever mattered to them. Whether sensei, the earth gems, the moon gems, the gems that have been ground into sand, everyone. And that's in line with a certain version of enlightenment that encourages detachment from connections and relationships in this world. Unfortunately, it's also turned Phos into this emotionless monster that is incapable of valuing relationships for what they are. The second sense of this twisted enlightenment is that Phos's desire to have a purpose, something that's been present right from the start, is still very strong, but it's been extremely concentrated or reduced down to this pure, raw emotion of needing to accomplish something, to the point where it's covered over or erased any actual reasoning for doing the things that they're doing. So a quick overview of Phos's mental evolution. They went from, I want to help fight because I love sensei, to I want to help find a new job for Cinnabar, to I want to find out the truth about humans, to I want to find out the truth that sensei is hiding from us about the humans and his connection to the Lunarians, to I want to make sensei pray, to put an end to this endless suffering by all of the races, to now I'm going to destroy everyone on Earth. So Phos's physical and mental breakdown and reconstruction means they've latched onto a past notion of an end goal, so to make sensei pray, but dispensed with any of the reasons behind it, for example, to stop the war and to save the gems. All they know now is to get it done at any cost, even if it means grinding down any gem who gets in the way into powder. I remember when I first watched Houseki, it was odd to me that the symbols traditionally associated with Buddhist enlightenment, like the bodhisattvas and the lotus blossoms, were associated with these faceless Lunarian enemies or predators, like the evil ones. Since then, we've gotten to know the Lunarians and done away with some of the cloak of mystery. Even Aechmea, who admitted to committing atrocities, has a logical thread to his actions. He's just trying to do the best for his people. So the irony that lies in Phos's collection of the pieces of the treasure tower, the gold body leaf, the submission that sensei shows to them because of their increasing humanness, all of these symbols of enlightenment are more and more visible even as Phos is becoming more and more unhinged. Remember, the treasure tower is not a representation of a state of being that is transcendent. Rather, it represents more the elevation of a very human life, the constant carrying out of the 7 practices, which are correct teaching, believing it, keeping the precepts, meditating, practicing assiduously, renouncing one's attachments, and reflecting on oneself in order to live human life with greater integrity and a greater consciousness of your life's purpose. But Phos, ironically, is way less conscious about their life's purpose than ever before. Maybe there's a message in the way that the gold alloy has dominated every other material that's in Phos, and whenever they get triggered, the alloy just spreads everywhere and cracks off the other pieces of Phos. Maybe it's a sign that Phos, while they were on the path of enlightenment, is now completely out of balance and has been for some time. And yeah, it's that dissonance between what is enlightenment and what Phos is really becoming that strikes me as the most fascinating about Houseki no Kuni and its main protagonist. Last thing, I think Phos is very close to, if not has already completed the transition from hero to villain. I mean, well, I wouldn't call it a transition exactly. It's more a circle. To me, Phos feels equally like both the hero and the villain. They are the classic Shakespearean tragic hero, very Macbeth like. They start off with a very optimistic, simple view of life and are very kind, but their personality flaw becomes their Achilles heel. And Phos's flaw, if you can call it a flaw, is that their drive to find and achieve their purpose in life becomes so dominant that everything else ends up being sacrificed to it. And with tragic heroes, there's always a glimmer of the good person that they used to be right before everything goes to shit. We saw those glimmers when Phos had that flashback of Sensei being kind to them in their original body, and when they climb into Cinnabar's hideout and they come across what's left of the clipboard that they used to save Cinnabar with. And what was so heartbreaking about that discovery is that as soon as Phos sees it, they start to reform into their more like human-like body gem form again, almost as if seeing that old clipboard restored them to their senses a little bit. And on that last panel that we finished on, the very unhappy shot of Benito, Alex, Daya, and Phos, Nightly Data sort of captioned it with, when you realize you were actually following the villain all along. So yeah, I am comfortable with calling Phos a villain, but also they're every bit the hero that they used to be as well. If now it's just extremely unhinged and uncontrolled. All right, which brings us to the start of chapter 85, Birthday. But just one last look at that last panel of chapter 84, where it's interesting. I only actually just noticed now Phos's weapon that they're holding on to. The handle of that massive sword that they have looks like just a melted representation of their alloy. Yeah, and I don't know what's up with those spikes on Phos's back. I mean, they've just altogether become a very, very prickly gem. Okay, chapter 85, Birthday. Hope you guys are ready and comfortable. It's spring. Oh man, it looks like we get a bit more happy days on Earth, which I'm always for. That's Hemi, Peridot, and is that Padpa? Hang on, it doesn't look like their normal uniform. Heck. Oh, I think it's watermelon. Yeah, must be. Yawn. I'm so done. Time to sleep. Oh man, it's hibernation again. Where's Cinnabar? Cinnabar may have already gone to sleep. The poor gem hibernates alone every year. I'm surprised they still do that. Really? Doesn't that get lonely? Yes, and that's why we've made something amazing. Oh, Sphene and Obsidian, the two crafts people. Cinnabar. Oh, actually, they're in their rooms in the school, so it's not like they're hibernating out in the cave that they used to. Huh? Okay, so that's a step up, a step closer to the gem family, but they're still not quite all the way integrated yet. Which is cool, these things take time. It's so cute. That's Zircon and Morga, yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry. That's Jade. Is that Jade being worried? Ta-da! Oh my god. A giant Cinnarini hibernation case. That is scary, but also very heartwarming. It's nice and big inside. And OBS coated the interior with OBS. So no worries about mercury leaking out. I did my best. Gloop, gloop. Oh, I don't know how many tools that they ruined trying to put this thing together. Wouldn't that make you feel more shut in? I love that. That is a huge, it's almost like a little cubby house with those little doors. Jolt. This is really nice. Thank you. I've always wanted to hibernate with the rest of you. Okay, take a moment. I just feel like we have to take a moment to appreciate this. Anything of goodness and wholesomeness we get, we need to latch onto, hold on to for what's going to come next. They're all so happy. They have no idea what's going to hit them. Winter Patrol, don't go to sleep yet. You see... Psst, psst, psst. Oh, I love it. So I guess Congo is still on Winter Patrol while the rest of them sleep. Hang on. Congo. I'm going to see if there are any newborns on the shore of nascency. Will you help me? All right. No mineral life form readings. That's too bad. Then let's gather the fragments. Congo, do you remember when you were born? I have memories from even before I was created. Oh, of maybe the humans put in like a chip that sort of speaks about their history. Did you have friends? I did. You don't have to apologize. You're hurting more than any of us. We're fine. I love that you could sense that he was about to apologize. It's a lovely spring. I feel like there's something good on the horizon. Oh man, it's the oldest trick in the book, you know, having this character be all happy and be like, nothing's gonna go wrong now. That's when you know everything is gonna go wrong. Let's go back. Eh? Oh, there's the reflection on the moon. Is it? Not yet. Aechmea? What is happening? Is that Aechmea sending a message to Sensei via the sparkling? I don't know, arranging the sparkling of the gems, of the sharded gems that are on the moon in a certain fashion to make it so that there's just half the moon showing? Eh? Wait. Sensei obviously received some kind of message. And he's aware of who Aechmea is. So, there they are. This way, over here. And here are his gem kids just completely oblivious to everything. This is your spot, Kuni. You sit here. Ready, and Bort is just begrudgingly going along with this. Kuni, happy birthday! I'm gonna die. So Everyone except Bort and Nepti are just all smiles, and those two are just like um the most socially awkward. But I think they're happy as well. Sensei is just stunned. Oh man. Oh, it's interesting. I don't know, those petals that are flying off him. That's been a motif that's been used in the past as well. But with the Lunarians. So none of us could sleep much this winter. So we started thinking of something fun to do. And we all picked out a birthday for you. Okay. Thank you. I'm very happy. Let's enjoy ourselves. I mean, all of the more I read about how much fun they're having as a family, the more sad I'm getting. Oh man, look at that spread. It's so, man, it's so Secret Garden esque. Just, you know, having a tea party in the rich fields, all those bouquets of flowers. Watermelon is up on Sensei's shoulders. Even Bort. Oh, Bort's got the jellyfish in their lap. I guess now that, you know, they don't really have to fight anymore, Bort is free to pursue their obsession with jellyfish. Is that Cinnabar sitting down there with Peridot? I love this. Just forever sear this into your brains because that's it. This is like peak happiness before everything comes crashing down. Huh? Who's that? I fell asleep. Wow, it's late. I'm stuffed. Time to clean up. Can we save it for tomorrow? Today is a day for having fun. Agreed. Agreed. Oh. Here we go. Oh man. They remember those days when they were like, we only get one Linearian transport, you know, every 3 days, and then they were like, oh my gosh, we got 3 in one day. Look at that. All those little dots. The entire Linearian army is about to jump them. Well, they had their day of fun, I guess. End of chapter 85. Okay, here we go. Chapter 86, War. It's like just completely blackening out the entire sky. Where's Bort? Is Bort already getting out their whip? I mean, they wouldn't be prepared at all because they've had peace for so long. Yep. There's the big one with, oh my gosh, Phos. They look, you know, oh man, Phos's hair, or that thing that's on top of their head, that's the lotus blossom. Benito, I mean, I can't really read Alex because I can't see their eyes, but Benito and Daya definitely, despite what Daya said about crushing Bort into powder, they are not happy about this. This is the last thing that they want to be doing. Sensei. Is that Cinnabar next to Sensei? Ooh, that jagged-edged mouth, man. Oh, they said they'd come to take their own eye back, and here they are. You know the plan. Oh man, that's... Oh my gosh, I've seen this scene before. Like the lining up of all of the bodhisattvas in sort of this almost amphitheater-like formation. But again, it's when it's in certain Chinese TV series that I used to watch, and all of them are good people. Like they're good, they're a force of good, and they're, you know, having a council about how to help fix the problems on Earth. But here, this is not a peaceful formation. This is full on war. This is going to be a merciless slaughter. Yeah, this is a wholesale slaughter. I don't know, man. Yeah, see, it's those flying petals again. They always appear when the Lunarians come. So I thought that was interesting. Back, hang on, where was it? When they put the bouquet of, I mean, the flower, I guess, neck thing around Sensei. There's those flying petals. Foreshadowing. Okay. What's the plan? Get to the school. I'm first. Alex. Oh man. I know you're tired of hearing it, but when you're satisfied, I want you to put everyone back. Put everyone back? As in the gems that are still sand? Oh, is that why they're going along with Phos? Oh man, it's gonna turn into red Alex. Especially, man, look at how many Lunarians they have to stare at. Benino is terrified. Oh man. Wrong Lex? Huh? Did they just pass out? What happened? What happened to Lex? It looks like they just passed out. Okay. Maybe they're just having a spasm because it's the first time that they've taken off their blindfold in a long time and they're just overwhelmed. Oh man, swords! I can't fight in these clothes. There are winter uniforms over here. What do we do? Oh shit, that's Bort asking Yuke what they should do. That's strange to me. Normally it's Bort that's just straight away jumping into action. No questions. But they seem genuinely worried here. Oof, that's unsettling. Phos wants to break all of us and then force Congo into submission. Right now, all we can do is buy some time and wait for our chance. Jade, Cinnabar, take Congo further inside. Oh man, back in their battle uniforms. Looks like I have no choice. There's a gem I don't know. Is it a newborn? Oh my god. The reunion that I've been waiting for so long. Is it a newborn? Huh? There, coming out of the school. Holding a whip. But that's obviously Bort. Surprising that Daya wasn't the one to recognize Bort immediately. It's their memories obviously have faded so much, and I wonder if they're going to be able to back up all that tough talk about grounding Bort into powder. Bort! What? Go back inside. But you, I'll be fine. Don't ever say I'll be fine. You just know they're gonna be gone. Oh man, look how shook Daya is. Are they getting jealous of seeing this interaction between Cinnabar and Bort? Go, protect Congo. You know, okay, before we move on, what I guess is going on in Daya's mind, in addition to being shook that they're seeing Bort for the very first time in hundreds of years, seeing Bort be so kind and actually partner up with Cinnabar must rock them to their core, because Cinnabar of all gems had nothing to offer Bort, right? I mean, nothing to offer anyone, least of all Bort. But here they are displaying this sort of trusting relationship that Daya never had with Bort or never allowed themselves to have. And so they're either like, oh my gosh, why wasn't Bort like that with me? And are going to get super mad and enraged, or they're going to just break down and their worldview again just challenged. Okay. Yep, and there's our OTP Cinnabar and what used to be Phos. It's not really making the move yet, the Lunarians. Are just all waiting for Phos and the gems to initiate. Oh man, even that dress that Daya is wearing, again, it's like lotus leaf shaped. Oh, it reminds me of when Phos first got the gold alloy, and then it just kind of took on the shape of those leaves, those blossoms. Idle smile. Will you please fight me? I want to beat you at the one thing you do best. I don't care about fighting anymore. It's more fun to raise jellyfish. Whoa. Oh man, that character arc. The character development is so tasty with Bort. I can't believe this. Yep. It's just taken the ground out from beneath Daya's feet, because that's what they came on Earth to do. They never thought that Bort could ever change like that. The Lunarians haven't been around for a while. There wasn't any need to fight anymore, and I've gotten rusty. Ah, gah. Whoosh. Whose fault is it? What is happening? That things turned out this way. What are all those? There's hearts and diamonds. Sort of like idol stage stuff. Almost like, I don't know. Are they pulling a Phos? Being so triggered that they now are just completely having a mental breakdown and are going to lash out until the other person is destroyed. Yeah, look at those Lunarian transports arranged into a heart shape. Oh man. Daya! I'm gonna break you into teeny weeny bits. Look at how even their sword is decorated with a little bow tie and the necklace, the little gems. Man. I mean, although it's not like Daya has been fighting either, but I guess they've been preparing for this moment. Oh my god. So those things were actually those things are being shot out by the Lunarians instead of their arrows. Well, they've got arrows, but now they've also got dire merchandise to shoot out. What is happening? End of chapter 86. Chapter 87, Silence. Oh, come on, Bort. I don't. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for Bort because they're defending the happiness that they've managed to attain these past 200 years. And Daya is just doing a psycho Phos act. Also, I mean, okay, I can't put it all on Phos, but I'm just in terms of the way that they're lashing out, and all reason and logic has been broken, and all they want to do now is to just destroy the thing in front of them that they think has caused all of this pain for them. It's so freaky. Those little dire heads. Crack. Gug. Yank. This is not looking good. Bort has never looked so just off balance in combat before. Man, they've got him. Daya has Bort. Oh, there we go. There's that look. Oh man, caught the edge of the blade, the point of the blade with the handle of their whip. Also, yeah, remember their whip is made up of bits of themselves. So, man, the symbolism in this fight is crazy. They're pitting the core of who they are against each other. Dire with their idol, merchandise, and Bort with their whip made out of themselves. Cheer me on! I can't hear you, you stupid losers! Wow! Oh, I see. So they brought along their adoring fans, probably whom, are part of the army as well. I see. Is that really dire? Yeah, I think so. It's funny because they all have known of Dire's affinity for beauty and of presentation, being a model, but this is way beyond what they would have thought Dire could become. Also, they weren't an asshole like this. So, such an inflated sense of self and ego. Those little shooting stars. Swish. Ooh, sliced off their dress? Okay, that's swish. I feel Bort is at a huge disadvantage. You've changed, Didi. Oh man. No! Oh no, they both got each other. I was like, I only saw Bort being sliced down the middle. But yeah, no, Bort got Dire in the middle. The cross section with the whip as well. So one of them got sliced down the middle vertically and the other one sliced horizontally at the waist. Please be okay, both of them. Oh man, you've changed, Didi. How long has it been since they even heard that term of endearment? And Bort knew that was coming. They look so peaceful even after having been shattered. and dire. I did not want to see this. It's diamond versus diamond. It's family against family. It's like the closest to. And this is where it ended. Maybe this isn't where it ends. Dire, Bort. Ah ha ha ha. Phos, you little shit. Blink. Oh, okay. So Alex needed some time to boot up the Red Alex Crazy Alex program. Okay. Whoosh. Rattle. Yuke, we have to pick up their pieces. But all those Linarians. Okay, here comes. Here comes the real one. Lex. And Benito. Benito, the Wrangler. The Alex Wrangler. Oh my gosh, Benito, Benito, come on, you know you don't want to do this. Just help. Oh shit. Man, they're just spearing them with a lance pole. Clank. Okay, that's 2 gems down already within the blink of an eye. Lex, stop! Don't just. They're holding on to Alex's chain. Oh my gosh. Wait. Yeah, so they're on a leash of some kind. Oh, that big, I guess, what do you call that? Oh god, the word just escapes me. But the ring around their neck. It's like a wild animal. That chain's gonna break, isn't it? Those are all the younger gems plus jade, I think, and amethyst. Oh god. They're gone. They're dead. I mean, not dead, you know. That's defeat, isn't it? Lex, stop, please. What's Nepti? Nepti looks so calm. How many gems do we have left? There's Cinnabar. Uke and Jade, I think, and Nepti. Oh man, Benito, what are you gonna do? I've always wanted to tell you. I never liked how you made no sense. I felt you were always looking down on me. Oh wait, Benito's pulling Alex back, yeah. But yeah, they just caught them by the neck. Never liked how they made no sense. Is it because what? Because they're such a normie that they don't understand it when Nepti goes off on one of their tangents? Or has a higher thought? I don't know. You better run. Oh man, those old ties just kicking in. The old affection. Oh man. Okay, Nepti, did you get that message? Alex is gonna break. Alex broke. But they're still gonna go without their head, aren't they? Okay, here comes Yuke. Oh, Nepti got caught. Yep. Okay, Alex got them. And Benita White is down as well. Is it because Alex's head just smashed into their own? Yep. This is wild. This is just chaos. This gems being smashed left, right, and center. intentionally, by accident, by mutual destruction. I hate this so much. And there's Yeek, the last one standing. Oh, the despair in that panel. It's over. Phos didn't even have to lift a finger. Stepping onto the grass. Is that a piece of Bort there? Or one of the gems? Ahaha. Crunch. Just stepping all over their former gem brothers. They don't, you know what? Phos honestly doesn't give a crap whether they're walking all over a moon gem or an earth gem. They just don't care. This is hard to read. Okay, hold on to that memory of all of the gems being happy together as a family. Just hold on to that. Chapter 88, Nature, Experiments, Future. The most human of all emotions is the thirst for revenge. This is Aechmea. That is a very fancy 2 scoops of ice cream. I'll have pineapple soda and fig yogurt. Is that Sakata? No, that's just a random Linnarian. What'll you have? With lots of crackles. Mint muscat, pink chocolate, and champagne lemon. Look at these two celebrity couple just living the high life while everyone else is fighting. All out war. The war to end all wars. Here you go. Did you hear me? Mint muscat, pink chocolate, champagne lemon. And the most human of all emotions is the thirst for revenge. Right? Yeah. Interestingly, that link again between the most human of things and what Phos is doing. So Aechmea shares, in a sense, Sensei's view of a certain version of humanity that is very weak in that they always succumb to this emotion of revenge. So Aechmea recognizes that, and Sensei, I guess, saw that as a huge flaw in humanity. That's why he was so skeptical about Yuke's idea of rebuilding society as an equal society, because he'd seen what humans eventually devolve into, just at each other's throats all the time. Wow, you said it's the smallest moon, but it's still so big. What is that massive hat that Kangum's wearing? Oh. Okay, so this is the hideout. Is this the estate you wanted to lock me up in? What? Want to go inside? Not a chance. Wait, I don't have a good feeling about this. So humans were a lot like phosphophylite. There we go. I think that's the first explicit connection we've had in text between Phos and humans. Even though we've been given lots and lots and lots of symbolic signs. That reminds me, you tried to make humans once, didn't you? You were right to stop. Oh, that face is ominous, isn't it? What is he gonna do to Cairngorm? Okay, it's fine. In an emergency, there are 2 conditions that would activate Congo's prayer. One is that Congo acknowledges the user as human. Yep. What a little speedboat. Just going on a nice little cruise while the world falls apart. The other, kapop, is an appeal to a higher power. Am I boring you? Not at all. What I mean by an appeal to a higher power is that a human must have faith in Congo's power as a non-human entity, entrust its entire being to that power, and wish from the bottom of the heart for life to end. Right, so that's Phos with Congo now that they are completely unhinged and all they want is for Sensei to end their life. This focus on Cairngorm's hands as they pop out like a Malteser is interesting. That's how it works, but should I drop this subject? No, go on. Why is he so hesitant about telling Cairngorm stuff? In other words, to intentionally operate Congo from the outside, we need a human to voluntarily ask the machine to pray. Bad! Ah, hey, not my shoes. Quieter will be furious. Wait, he's leading up to something. In recent centuries, we have learned that rather than a true Homo sapien, Congo would judge more mercifully if dealing with a pseudo-human built from a gem. Okay, they've got it now. They're like, you did this to Phos on purpose. I mean, but a lot of things happened that weren't of the Lunarians' doing, like the way that Phos was bound to the gold alloy. Because Antarc put the gold onto Phos's arms. Other things like the pearl eye, definitely. You're not turning me human. No. I'm kidding. That wouldn't fulfill the voluntary requirement. Besides, I've already made a human. Oh no, don't tell me they're gonna reveal that this was actually their plan all this time. Wait, for the first 300 years following Phosphophyllite's birth, the gem harbored a need for validation that was out of proportion with such a fragile body. Unable to receive an assignment even from Congo, and incapable of creating an individual role to fulfill, the gem led an empty existence. That's where we found potential. Oh man. You made Phosphophyllite into a human? Yes. How it's fascinating that Aechmea is accepting full credit for that happening to Phos. So they did hone in on Phos's weakness or flaw or strength, depending on how you look at it, of their drive to want to be someone important, have a purpose. If anyone would accept change in order to find fulfillment, it would be Phosphophyllite. We provided countless opportunities for the gem to acquire, through natural processes, elements of the other two human descendant races, and become a pseudo-human that would act of its own volition. Yeah, that was why they got ventricosis, dropped them down. Ooh, those roots go deep, man. Like the strategizing of how to make it all look natural, the way that Phos got all of those new materials that just happened to be parts of the other two human descendants. Of all those opportunities, only two came to fruition. giving Phosphophyllite strong admirabilis legs and deft new alloy arms. Even so, the gem was too pure. So they are taking credit for the gold alloy. They must have just left it there. Then we made a leap forward with the attachment of lapis lazuli's head. The right amount of intelligence can be a powerful poison. How did they manipulate? Well, it was Cairngorm that suggested Lapis's head be used. So was that also somehow via Aechmea's manipulation as well? Also, I love that even Aechmea admits that Phos was very pure, and that even after the arms and the legs, they still retained that sense of rightness, I guess, a morality that would not force them into turning into this crazy being that would force or ask Sensei to pray. Then, and this is what makes you so special, Antarc, Ghost, Padpa, and the other gems actively helped Phosphophyllite and fostered growth of their own free will. Wow, I mean, yeah, I guess in their own ways, like, my mind is being blown right now because I'm like, to what extent was all of this a guided experiment or mission that just happened to have all of these lucky things happened, like Antarc, Ghost being so supportive with Phos finding out the truth, and then Padpa encouraging Phos to, you know, be a rebel, really. Because all of that is not in the control of Aechmea, right? Or the Lunarians. They just happen to be elements that were favorable to their desired outcome, isn't it? But you were different. You had a psychiatric disorder that forced you into a long-term babysitting job that you did not ask for. Your presence stabilized Phosphophyllite. But for some reason, that bothered me immensely. I had that estate built as a thank you and as an apology for making you give us the most important century of this project. Pow! But, hey, just say it was love at first sight. Clong. Wait, so he's saying Cairngorm was the reason why Phos was able to your presence stabilized Phosphophyllite. So Cairngorm sort of brought Phos's feet back down to earth, right? But then after Aechmea helped Cairngorm scrape away the remainder of what was Ghost, did that also help Phos turn into the human that they are now? I don't know. I have to think about this. Okay, love at first sight. I'm glad you like me. I got all nervous over nothing, damn it. At long last, Phosphophyllite came to the moon. Oh, right, okay. So because Cairngorm was able to be a support for Phos, Phos was then able to be like, well, I'm going to go to the moon because I have your help. Ah, okay, got it. Right. Combined the three races in one individual and even felt enough despair and thirst for revenge to wish for life to end. Congo and Lustrous. the admirabilis, you and the moon. With all of your help, the little one has grown into a fine human being. This is, I mean, it's a little bit absolutely right. Like, humans have an aspect to them, especially when revenge takes over and just bleeds into every aspect of your being. You become this vengeful, lust for blood kind of person, and that is what Phos is. But also, there's a lot of good in humans as well. Like, it's like Aechmea guided this process to make sure that Phos turned into the worst version of a human possible. Because only, like, I guess the worst version of a human would be so desperate to have their life end through prayer. And maybe he understands that because he himself at one point in time was that kind of person. And that's why he ended up on the moon, because no one prayed for him. Oh, really? Then I guess Phos really will get to Congo to work this time. Good for you. Everything's going according to plan. Actually, Congo will never pray again. What? Oh man, he's gonna drop another truth bomb on us again, isn't he? Those last two startups were happy accidents, but they gave me definitive proof that the malfunction is irreparable. Our plan will not go any further. Oh, okay, so right, Sensei is way too attached for the gems to work at all anymore. So what are you gonna do? What am I going to do? Hey, for now, I'll make our protege more than human. Turn Phos into a god, the higher being that is capable of sending their souls into nothingness. This is just the beginning. Would you believe that? If you and I were to have what is called a child, where is this going? Wait. Step back a little bit. Aechmea gave over the entire Lunarian army to Phos with this knowledge that Sensei would never pray, based on the data that they'd received from the last two malfunctions. So essentially he was like, yep, have at it, have your war, destroy all of the gems, but it still won't make Sensei pray. Because now, oh my god, that is nasty, man. To be fair though, Phos at this stage isn't even, I think, not really caring so much about making Sensei pray, even though that is what they want because they don't want to exist anymore. But also, right now, their immediate concern is to destroy all of the gems that stopped them from making it work. This is messed up, man. Okay, so there's talk about having a child. And if we were to consider that child's real happiness, I would want to give it a future apart from this stalemate between the three races. You really suck at choosing gifts. I don't think this child is going to like it at all. I can see it now. Oh man, this raises up a whole lot of questions of how this will work, like physically, this having of a child between a Lunarian and a physical gem. Probably be like test tube baby, I'm assuming. Those other moons. That is a huge crater. This is the deepest crater on all the 6 moons. It has a layer of high purity ice at the bottom. Ice. Huh, so what about it? This. Seriously? What is that? Oh no. Apparently, lustrous memories prefer high purity crystals. But Beta and the others will be coming along later. I want you to help them with the analysis. Oh yeah, speaking of ice. No, I'll save that until after I get back. What is he on about? Okay, so he wants to, I guess, transfer the memories of someone. I feel like they're working on the angle of, okay, we need to transfer some gem's memories into maybe a human form so that it'll still be the gem, but they'll have the capacity to reproduce. Oh my gosh, is that where this is going for Cairngorm? It's about time I go to Earth myself. End of chapter 88. Oh man, we're definitely going to keep going on with the next few chapters that aren't actually released in volume form, but there are a few chapters out. And God, because there's no way that we could have just left it here. I feel like an avalanche of new stuff just got piled on top of the lore that we already are struggling to piece together. Oh man, okay, Land of the Less Aged. Morga, help us out. Okay. Morga, over here. You got it. Coming. Morga, about tomorrow. Yes, Morga. The strangely aged younger gem Zircon. That's right. It really helps that Morga is so dependable. Yeah, cheerful and helpful too. And the youngest gem here, very impressive. Morga is not only dependable but hasn't lost any freshness. What? We don't stand a chance. Should we just let Morga baby us? These younger gens being like, oh crap, we're losing our privileged positions. Oh no, all these years we've been acting young and letting the older gens baby us. That's heavy. This does not look good for us. Morga, give me attention. That's not the only problem. That voice. Okay. This'll do. Everyone just can't get enough of Morga. Makes me sad that of the previous Morga that we had that would just give Phos shit all the time. And now this one is different, but still, everyone loves them the way that they are. Clearly. The end. Translation notes. Papa. Here, Goshenite addresses Padpa as Aniki, a term that can be used to address someone you respect as an older sibling. The translators felt a nickname based on Padpa's name could convey a similar sentiment. Yeah, I mean, even, I guess Goshen, who was new, they heard stories about how great Padpa was, and Padpa just is an all-round, very well-respected gem. Appeal to a higher power. The term translated here to appeal to a higher power is Tariki Hongan. Hongan, which literally means sincere wish for outside power. It refers to a concept in Buddhism and other faiths that enlightenment, salvation, etc. comes not from one's own efforts, chiriki, but must be granted from an outside power, such as Buddha. I see. It ends with that last shot of the gems, just staring out at the blackening sky on their last day of fun. Oh, that is that's a piece of gem with no limbs. Huh. Okay. Alright, guys, that is where volume 11 of Houseki no Kuni leaves us. I think it's gonna take me a while and another reread to really absorb everything that was thrown at us. The chaos of the war and the destruction of almost all of the gems. And yet another revelation from Aechmea that once again shows how he is always 3 steps ahead of everyone else that's involved in this saga. But here are a few general observations and feelings about these last few chapters. First, no surprises. Phos's invasion led to the near wipeout of not just the Earth gems, but the Moon gems as well. All we have left standing now is, of course, Phos, who didn't have to lift a finger, and most of the work was done for them. And then on the Earth gem side, there's Yuke and Jade and Cinnabar, who left to hide Sensei deeper in the school. The first fight between Bort and Jaya that results in both of them mutually destroying the other was just the first in a series of incredibly sad moments of seeing just how far apart the gems have grown from each other. I mean, Jaya couldn't even recognize Bort on sight anymore. And when they find out that Bort is now more into raising jellyfish than fighting, they have this look of, wait, who are you again? And wait, why am I doing this again? And I think that jolt of realization that this is no longer the Bort that's been nestled inside their mind for centuries, that harsh, belittling version of Bort, that puts Daya off. And I think there were potential seeds of something positive that could have grown in that first jolt of, wow, things have really changed on Earth and with Bort. If only Daya wasn't so absorbed and putting all the blame on Bort for the trauma that they'd suffered and scared that they had to protect their way of life on the moon. And also, if Phos wasn't behind them all as this ominous force ensuring that there would be no space for more communication or for more understanding to grow. So yeah, Alex went on their rampage and destroys pretty much everyone else. Their original promise to help Phos fight and to help them get Sensei to pray, in light of what Aechmea has revealed about Sensei being beyond broken now, that he will never pray, that revelation essentially invalidated the premise of Alex's promise, and I really don't see any point. I didn't see any point now. I mean, of course, they didn't know it at the time, but there's now no point for Alex to have left their restaurant and do this. We also get that sort of heartbreaking confession, I guess, from Benito to Nepti, that their differences and what they see as normal and what they're interested in really made Benito feel inadequate. Again, it's a similar story for each of the pairings of gems. For whatever reason, their insecurities sort of led to this impasse. And as I will always say, if only they could just sit down and talk across a hot meal or something and everything would have been sorted out. But yeah, this is Houseki no Kuni, so what else? I guess it's the ultimate conclusion is that Aechmea has never been on the gems side, even though he's provided a new home and a new way of life for the moon gems, but he has always had his own agenda, one that he will only reveal in full to Cairngorm. And now this latest thing with not only making Phos into a human, but that he has plans to take that even further. And we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it ties in with Aechmea's idea of having a child together with Cairngorm and gifting it a world in which there is no more division between the 3 races. which has me thinking that he wants to integrate all three races somehow physically. And I have no idea how that's going to work and how that involves turning Phos into more than a human. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have a lot more thoughts when I reread. It's just been such a brain dump, and I'm so sad. I'm just so sad at how it all ended for the gems. And Ichne and Cairngorm are just having a lovely cruise on the second moon, or on the moon that, he's left for Cairngorm. So yeah, that's it from me today. I especially want to just go over the part again where Aechmea is explaining how his plan to turn Phos into a human naturally has been in motion since Phos's birth. Because I want to tease out how much of what happened to Phos went according to Ichne's plans, like deliberate plans, versus how much of it relied on happy accidents and the individual choices made by all the gems, which definitely would have been much harder to predict and to control on Ichne's side. I also definitely look forward to seeing what you guys thought. So until next time, when we get into the fan translated versions of the latest chapters that are out there, take care and I'll see you soon.